The Honest Truth, Chapter 2.5. His family waited, silent and still by the phone, wanting their boy home. Jessie waited with them. In plenty of important ways, she was a part of their family too. They sat in the living room, faces pale and hands nervous and mouths tight. Silence was all around them, the phone most of all. Mark's mom was almost never not crying, though she cried without making a sound. She'd gotten very good at crying quietly. 8 o'clock had come and gone, the time when the bus was supposed to arrive in Spokane. The cops were certain Mark was on that bus, and they were ready to greet it in the station. But the phone hadn't rung. It should have. It should have rung, and then a strong voice should have told them that they had Mark and that he was safe. But it didn't ring, not until 8:15, and then a troubled voice had told them that the bus had pulled into Spokane, but Mark wasn't on it. He was gone again. Mark's mom had dropped her face to her hands. His dad swore under his breath and pressed his fingers into his eyes. Jessie had frowned and squeezed her hands together and wrestled with an idea. It was an idea that had started to whisper in her head the moment she'd heard that Mark was gone, but she'd ignored it. Mark had gotten on a bus to Spokane after all. Her idea didn't make sense. But with the bus in Spokane and Mark not on it, her idea got louder. It tugged on her sleeve and elbowed at her thoughts. The cops were scrambling now. The bus had stopped in 3 towns between leaving Wenatchee and arriving in Spokane. The driver, tired and bored, hadn't paid attention to who had gotten off. They had called the police in all 3 towns, and in all 3 towns every cop on duty was driving and looking, trying to find a small boy traveling with a little spotted dog. He had to be in one of those towns, the cops said. They'd call when they found him. Try not to worry. Mark's dad was quiet. He looked exhausted. Mark's mom was crying again. Jessie looked out the window. The idea inside her cleared its throat and poked her. She didn't know it all yet. She hadn't learned what Mark had learned, hadn't discovered the secret that had made Mark pack his bag and disappear into darkness. If she had, the idea inside her would have kicked and stomped and grown into a rock-hard truth. But then another idea came to her. She couldn't believe she hadn't thought of it before now. As soon as it came to her, she knew. She knew Mark would never leave without telling her goodbye. "I've got to go," she said, and was up and out the door. She ran down the street through the blowing wind and drizzling rain and darkness to her own house. She ran past the front porch and around the corner to the bricks beneath her bedroom window. Even in the darkness, her hands had no trouble finding the loose brick, the one with the secret little empty space behind it. They'd been using it for years, her and Mark, a secret place only they knew about, a place they used to share secrets and pass notes. Her finger poked back into the hole. Instead of brick, it felt paper. She bit her lip and pulled out the folded note. A secret message. Unfolding paper's whisper. A friend's last goodbye.